Hello everybody, welcome to Scotty D Gaming. I'm Scotty D and today is my Warhammer Chaosbane Elessa the Elf Master Beast Master guide. So if you want to be a minion master, if you want to have loads of pets, this is the build for you. It's truly phenomenal. So first off, I'm going to go over, I think it'll be beneficial to go over the gear first. So you're going to want the Starlight Set, and basically the Starlight Set, what it does is any summoned creatures deal more damage and an additional familiar is summoned. All of your creatures do plus 100% damage, and the Call of the Spirit skill is improved and no longer requires skill points to equip. Now the Call of the Spirit skill is this one that summons a Dryad that attacks enemies and has a chance to root them. The Dryad remains until it is killed, but you can only summon one at a time. The description is completely wrong. When you've got this skill equipped and you've got the set equipped, you can have 4 permanent Dryads at a time, and every single one of these Dryads can proc root. Now just to let you know, root is probably the most overpowered status effect in the game. If an enemy is rooted, it can't attack, it can't move, it can't do anything, and it also works on endgame bosses. It's phenomenal. Okay, so that's basically what the Starlight Set does. And also I mentioned it summons an extra familiar. So normally by default you've only got one of these little pixie things flying about. Now there's 2, and I'll explain why that's really good in a second after I go over the rest of my gear. Now for your dagger slot, what you're going to want is you're going to want the Tireless Guardians. It is by far the best dagger in the game. What it does is damage is increased for a few seconds each time energy is regained through the familiar. Now, not only does this give you plus 100% damage for everything, all your beasts, all of your skills, all of your weapons, everything is increased by 100%. But because we've now got 2 familiars, you can get not only double damage, triple damage by hitting them both. Because it's cumulative, it adds on top of each other, meaning you can just liquidize everything you come across. So that is essential. Now, next piece of equipment, which aren't so essential, but this is what I like to use. The Ring of the Spirits. Performing a critical hit has a chance to grant health and energy. It's survivability, and more energy means more spamming of the daggers, which is awesome. And the next one is performing a critical hit has a chance to reduce any current cooldowns. Now, because we're going to be hitting all the time between our daggers and our minions, we're going to be critting quite a lot, so these are going to proc quite often. On my bow, I like to use the Pact Bow because a small Dryad is summoned for a few seconds each time energy is regained through the familiar. So not only do our familiars, when we hit them, trigger a 100% damage boost, it also summons another minion, always keeping our minion ranks up. Another, if you didn't like that one, because you've got to remember, you can have 4 permanent Dryads summoned at once. You can only have 6 permanent lesser Dryads at once. Now we can summon 5 Dryads with the skill that I use, but once it goes to the 7th one, an older one dies. But we're pretty much always going to have 6 at a time because we've got this Pact Bow in combination with our skills. But if you weren't fussed about that, you could use the Master Archer Bow, which when performing a critical hit has a chance to reduce current cooldowns, which is also great, but I prefer the Pact Bow for maximum minions. Now the amulet that I use is the Amber Talisman, which when using a potion it reduces all current cooldowns, which again, my primary stats when choosing gear is cooldown reduction and cost reduction. So if you find any gear that, like for example my Starlight helmet has got cooldown reduction and cost reduction, I prioritize that over any other stat on equipment. So as I go through and find more Starlight gauntlets and stuff, I will be prioritizing those stats. Right, so let me just demonstrate something. So as you can see, by base damage on my Sureflight arrow, it does 8,900 damage. So let's just say 9,000 damage. If I walk into one of my pixies, not only does it summon a beast, it's now doing 17,000 damage. Now if I walk into it again, this one, if I can catch it, I've now got 26,860 damage base attack by having these, and I'll have that for approximately 8 seconds. Now because this applies to everything on the screen, all of your skills, everything, you can liquidize bosses if you do it right. Now, with that in mind, I want to go over my skills. So I'll go over my passive skills first. So the ones I choose are Seeds of Blood. Hitting an enemy grants a higher chance to make a small Dryad appear. Now this is a God skill, so you'll need to go down the God skill tree to get it. And I also choose the summons deal more damage to slowed, poisoned and rooted enemies. Now enemies are always going to be slowed, poisoned or rooted because of my skills, which I'll show you in a minute. And I also choose this one, which is Hallowed Spirit Superior. Summoned creatures deal more damage, have more health and have a chance to heal all players with each hit. Now I like this one strictly for survivability, because we've got so many creatures hitting so many things, and because they're doing so much damage. 5% of massive damage equates to massive health back for me. I do like the survivability. Now this one is good. The master version of this is good because every time a summoned creature hits an enemy, damage is increased cumulatively. It's probably better for taking things down faster, but my opinion, you can't collect loot if you don't survive. So I'm going to stick with the health restored, and it's also good in multiplayer scenarios. So that I'm going with that. Now, base skills, sorry. Sureflight Arrow Master. Why I like this is because you don't have to babysit it. It's guaranteed to hit whatever it's aiming at, and it hits multiple things. It ricochets around. Now the master version ricochets multiple times, meaning more hits, meaning chances to proc things increase. That's why I like that one. Now, this skill is basically, this is just a skill that I don't really use much, but it's there because I had the skill points to use it. It's the Spinning Blades Master. Now the reason I chose this is because it doesn't require any mana to use. I'm saving all my mana for my Spinning Blades. This I can just throw out and let it do its thing. Happy days, forget about it. And I choose the poison one, so it poisons things, does more damage. Now, the next one I use is Hungry Roots Superior. This lays a permanent trap on the ground that triggers when an enemy approaches it, and it poisons that enemy. Now this procs about every 5 to 10 seconds, so it doesn't do massive damage over time, but it is a constant stream of damage along with the poison. And it's permanent, so when you get a boss rooted, plant that at its feet, you're in for a winner. Now my favourite skill in the entire game, apart from my minions, is the Spiral Cut. I only use the superior version because it is guaranteed to slow enemies whatever it hits, so it allows you space to breathe and move about the battlefield. It's great, and the damage is phenomenal. You can stack this on top of itself, so it hits like ridiculous amount of times, proccing all of your other skills. Crazy. Now this one is the Defiler's Reckoning, is also a god tier skill. It summons a group of Dryads that attacks and poisons enemies. Now I only use again the superior version because it poisons enemies, which means combined with my passive skill that does 30% more Dryad damage to enemies that are poisoned, my Dryads self-buff themselves with a 30% damage boost effectively with that. Whereas on this one, oh, and also it gives you 5 extra summons, where every other skill in the tree only gives you 4. And the mastered version only gives you a chance to have another Dryad appear on a kill. It's on a boss, you're not going to be killing things. Go for the superior. It gives you everything you need and more. Now finally, the main skill which gives you permanent Dryads is Call of the Spirits. Summons a Dryad that attacks enemies and has a chance to root them. The Dryad remains until it is killed, but you can only summon one time. Again, I've mentioned this skill is wrong. You can't summon one at a time. You can actually summon with the Starlight Set 4 permanent ones. Now I'll just go over for now. For anybody that doesn't have the end game gear and they're just looking at this as a build guide for how to build a Dryad, the main skills you're going to need are the Spiral Cut for doing massive damage and proccing Dryads. You're going to want the god tier skill of having Dryads appear upon hit, and you're also going to want the Call of the Spirits. And I would recommend for anybody without the gear is go for the top tier one, because it allows you to summon 2 permanent Dryads that root enemies. It's good when you get it. Go for that. Right, so that's it. That's all of my skills explained and why I use them. I'm going to demonstrate them now, and you'll see how we can. Now, I'm on Chaos 2 at the moment. I would highly recommend anybody that wants to farm for endgame gear, do it on Chaos 2. It's the best time for reward out of anything you can get. I can still liquefy bosses up to Chaos 4. Chaos 5 is a bit too risky because they hit so hard you die and you haven't got a chance to collect your loot. But do Chaos 2. You get the same gear as Chaos 3 and 4, and it's easier to kill the boss fast. Let's do it. So my tactic is, when going in, going to plant a permanent Dryad right on the boss. Then I want to summon the rest of my temporary Dryads. Then I want to plant a trap on the boss. And then I want to run in and use all of my spinning daggers. Every time my permanent Dryad cools down, I'm going to keep firing it off until I've got 4 permanent Dryads, and then it's game over. It is game over. And the best boss to do it is the Keeper of Secrets, because it's the easiest one. You haven't got any silly things to do. You can just get stuck in and kill it. Right, let's do it. So, permanent Dryad, full Dryad, trap, get in, spam this, permanent Dryad again, spam, 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 and you can see his health going down, it's getting destroyed. I want to trigger a damage bonus by my familiar, more spam, damage bonus by familiars, please, boosh, boosh, more Dryad, please, and it's dead, dead. Got liquefied. Absolutely just wrecked. It's shockingly good. So this time you can see we didn't actually get any red loot, and that's quite a rarity. Normally you always get it, and this can happen on higher levels of chaos. So just watch. I'll do it again. Let's see if we get any good loot here. And really, the only reason you're doing this is for heroic items. But you saw how fast this boss went down. And it goes down just about as fast in Chaos 3. But I prefer this. Boosh. Boosh. Trap. Dodge. Spinning blades. Hit me familiars. If the boss gets rooted like it did last time, it's just game over. Let's hit me familiars for more damage. Oh, it's game over. More damage, baby. Dead. It's it's absolutely, look at my minions. Look at my beasts. Follow me, my beasts. So there we go. A bit of heroic equipment. Eternity boots. And there we go. It's, what can I say? It's the best build for Elessa, in my opinion. It's too good. You've got mid shields, you've got everything. It's the best. I'm doing it again. But lads, you can just, you already know how to build it. Go and build it if you want. Or you can just watch me decimate it again. It's much more funny if you can root the boss in its starting position. It can't do anything. You just got to get a lucky root with your first plant. There you go, I think we've got it. Damage bonus, damage bonus. It's dead. It's not gone anywhere, is it? So as you can see, I'm running about collecting me familiar. Just to keep stacking the damage bonus on me minions. Awesome. Now what did we get? Ring of the Guardian. Okay. And sometimes you'll find every item that drops will be a red item. So the Ring of the Guardian, is it any good? So at the moment I've got cooldown reduction. See, this one doesn't do cooldown reduction. So I'm not going to equip it. I much prefer cooldown reductions than anything else good. Don't use Eternity Set. And that is it. Okay lads, I hope you enjoyed the guidance tutorial on how to make the best Beastmaster in Chaosbane. See you in a bit lads. Chaosbane, what happened? Bloodborne, this isn't Dark Souls. Warhammer Chaosbane, right? See you in a bit lads.